Okay, let me just be super clear and upfront with you guys here. I freaking never have to charge this watch, and I'm going into a lot more detail in this video, but I want to be respectful of your time. So if you're just quickly checking out how the Garmin Enduro has held up over the past 100 days and you want my quick opinion, durability wise, this watch has held up pretty well. I haven't seen any major software bugs or any hardware issues, and I test a lot of watches on this channel, and the Garmin Enduro is one of my all-time favorite watches here. And I'll show you some close-up video and B-roll of the watch, having lap swam and open water swam, road cycling and mountain biked and road run, of course, and trail running, of course, with it over the past 3 or 4 months, so that you can see just how well this watch has held up, over that given amount of time. What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? Today we're talking about the Garmin Enduro after I've been wearing this as my primary watch over the past 100 days. In all reality, it's actually been more like 120 days, but it just takes me a while to get these videos put together. This watch is definitely designed for ultra runners, but I've actually been using it as a triathlon watch. So we'll go over a few basic details on the watch, but I do want to mostly focus with this video on durability, performance, and any issues or dislikes that I've had with the watch over that given period of time. And just to be completely transparent with you guys, Garmin did send me this watch for the purpose of this review or reviews like this one. And although they're not sponsoring this video and money is not changing hands, whenever a company does send me a watch, I do like to pass it along to one of you guys in the form of a giveaway. And I have to admit, giving up this watch is gonna be tough. I think it's gonna hurt a little bit. I'm really going to miss it, but stick around to the end of the video and we'll go over all the details on how you can win this device. Okay, since I've already told you that I love this watch, I figured let's start with any issues I've had or any dislikes I have towards the watch. And the first would be the price tag. You're looking at $700 for the steel version of this watch and $800 for this one, which is the carbon titanium version with the solar glass. And I'll leave links, of course, to where you can buy this in the description of this video. But the titanium version does save you about 10 grams of weight. So it's 71 grams for the steel version and 61 grams for this titanium version, which I would say is, pretty light for a watch this size. And, I don't absolutely love these larger watches. It's actually, quite large on my dainty wrists. For reference, I have about a 6.5 inch circumference wrist, or about 185 millimeters. And because of my small wrist, I do find that I have to, loop the strap back on itself a little bit extra, and the straps don't quite stick as well as they could. And the watch face itself is about 51 millimeters width, or the diameter of the watch, and then it's about 14.5 millimeters in depth. And the depth is kind of, what makes it feel large. In the screen, it's definitely not the brightest screen that Garmin makes. I still think that kind of belongs to the, Garmin Forerunner 945. Tends to be a good bit brighter, but I didn't have any issues seeing this screen or any of the metrics when I was, swimming, biking, or running. The bigger screen definitely helps with visibility. It's actually a 1.4 inch screen, which is, bigger than what I'm used to. I do love having that extra display size, but because of this watch face being larger, on my small wrist, I do find myself hitting it against more things, doorknobs and things like that, as I just kind of walk around the house. Definitely more than I would with some of the smaller watches, the 1.2 inch displays. So, maybe that's a good test for us as far as durability goes. The watch face and the glass lens is made of Gorilla Glass, which is similar to what your smartphone might have. So it can take a beating, but I do think that I've managed to put one maybe small scratch in here. I don't know if we'll be able to see it. I'll try to show it in B-roll. It's extremely hard to notice, I would definitely say it's still probably worth picking up some sort of screen protector for your watch, if you're worried about scratches and things like that. I'll leave a link to some that I recommend down below in the description of this video. But other than that, the titanium bezel on the watch body itself has held up extremely well. As far as the built-in wrist-based heart rate monitor, this Garmin Enduro does not have the new Garmin Elevate 4.0. That is Garmin's kind of new heart rate monitor. It's only on a couple of devices currently, the Garmin 945 LTE and that Garmin Venue 2. And I do kind of expect that Garmin will use that new heart rate configuration on most of its future watches. But the Enduro has the previous version of their heart rate monitor, which does still support pulse ox, meaning that this watch can detect blood oxygen saturation levels. I will say turning it on will add a small dent to the battery life. I'm seeing it kind of cut the battery life in half if you turn it on for all day usage. But if you're traveling at altitude and you want to kind of keep track of how your body is acclimatizing towards altitude, it definitely might be worth turning on. And as far as heart rate accuracy goes, this graph here is just comparing the Garmin Enduro and a chest strap, the Garmin Heart Rate Monitor Pro. And I noticed that the same standard issues that we tend to have with a lot of wrist-based heart rate monitors, is gonna happen with this Enduro here. I noticed that the Enduro takes a little while to lock onto, and then it's reading a touch low. And then after that, it does seem to kind of lock on pretty well and does pretty well for the rest of the run here. So it's not perfect, but no major concerns there. Okay, other missing features from this watch that tend to be on some of the higher end Garmin watches like the Forerunner 945 or the Phoenix series watches. This watch does not have onboard music. It does not have Garmin Pay, and it does not have any sort of LTE options. And maybe even more critically than that, this watch does not have any sort of true mapping capabilities. You can still do breadcrumb style mapping, but you're not gonna have any sort of routing or any sort of saved map detailed information. My guess is that, some of the hardware storage space was removed from this watch and used to kind of expand the battery for this device. I should also mention that this watch does have Garmin's Climb Pro feature. I've talked about that a lot in other videos, but basically you get information on specific hills and specific details within the hills, as well as descents as you navigate a course. So you can set up an alert to have the watch beep at you, let you know that you've got a hill coming up in a quarter mile or at whatever specific distance you'd prefer to be alerted. And overall, it's just a really nice feature that some of the Garmin watches have. Now next, and I wouldn't say that this is a like or necessarily a dislike, the Garmin Enduro watch band it's something new from Garmin. They call it the Ultra Fit strap, and it's lighter weight, and everyone that I've chatted with seems to love this strap, but for me personally, I definitely am not 100% sure how I feel about this thing. It's crazy. After having used it for over 100 days, I still don't know whether I like it or not. As far as durability goes, I've been swimming with this thing regularly in chlorine and all kinds of different lakes and places like that, but I'm still worried that long-term, even longer than 100 days, that chlorine might eat away at these straps. So far, it's been holding up pretty well. The straps do come loose every once in a while during a swim. Just yesterday I was swimming and I dove in and lost the straps while I swam, and then as I took a stroke, I ended up throwing the watch down the lane a little bit, but it wasn't a huge deal. Typically I just tighten it up when I'm swimming. But I think, if you swim regularly, you might prefer switching out this watch band with something that, doesn't hold on to moisture, can maybe be strapped down just a little bit tighter. This watch is compatible with any 26mm quick release watch bands, and I'll link some below, but it's super easy and quick to switch these out. You could even, switch it real quick before a swim, or if you knew you were going to the beach and you were going to be doing a lot of swimming one week. Other than the missing features that I mentioned earlier, this watch is gonna have a lot of the latest tech from Garmin. So that's stuff like Garmin sleep tracking, which I really enjoy with this watch. It's gonna have the body battery feature, the VO2 max estimations, activity tracking for lap swimming, open water swimming, indoor, outdoor biking. You can control your smart trainer. You can run on it on the roads, on the track, on the trails. It has a triathlon mode, which is important to me. Maybe more importantly to you guys, it has the new ultra running mode, and you can do trail running, VO2 max estimations, and you can use the ultra run rest timer. So if you are in an ultra race, you can see how much time you spent in aid stations. It's actually basically kind of like a lap split, and it kind of reminds me of tracking, swim rest splits when you're actually in the middle of a swim set. But as far as GPS accuracy goes, there's nothing super interesting here, which I would say is a good thing. Overall, I don't think it tracks quite as well or as accurately as something like the Garmin 745, but it is pretty close. Now, lastly, and the reason that this watch is one of my favorite watches that I've tested on this channel is battery life. The battery life on this thing is absolutely amazing. I would say in the 100 days that I've had this, I've probably only charged it up a total of about 3 times. It's probably time for me to charge it up a 4th time. And it's just so nice knowing that at any point you can just go grab this watch and it will be good to go. Or if you're going on a week-long trip or more, you don't even have to stress about bringing a charger with this device. For me personally, this battery feature, this ultra long battery, is just one of my favorite things about the watch. Okay, so those are some of my thoughts, but because I'm only, a silly little triathlete, I was curious what an ultra runner would think of the Enduro after having used it for, I would consider it a brutal 100-mile ultra trail running event.
What's up, Matt? Thank you so much for having me on your channel to talk about the Garmin Enduro. This is really exciting. I've had this watch for just over 2 months and have been able to really put it through its paces, including running a real-life 100-mile race. I ran the Cruel Jewel 100, which is actually more like 106 miles and includes 33,000 feet of elevation gain and descent. So it took me just over 39 hours to finish. And when I finished, I plugged the watch in to check the battery percentage, and it was at 49%, which is pretty incredible. So this battery is the real deal on the Garmin Enduro, and I've actually been able to test it in a real life situation. Other than that, I just really care about a watch that's reliable, easy to use, comfortable, and the Garmin Enduro really delivers on all of that. So that's it. That's all I have to say in just a couple seconds here. Thank you once again for having me on your channel, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, thanks Ryan for the help with that. I really appreciate it. If you guys are not subscribed to Ryan, I really don't know what you're doing with yourself. Like, jump over to his channel and give it a follow. He's fantastic. Okay, so to win this watch, just drop down in the comments section of this video and just let me know what races you would use this watch in. Or, if you're not racing anytime soon, tell me what you'd use it for in training. And obviously, you're not required to subscribe to this channel or anything. Of course, I would love it if you would follow along. I've got a lot of fun stuff coming up, but I will give this video a few weeks, and then I'll use a random number generator to pick a winner, and I will mail this watch your way. And usually I'll just need to get your address from you, and I typically use something like Instagram private messages to do that. There's a few more details in the description of this video, and I will be really sad to see this watch go. It's a fantastic watch. As I said at the beginning of this video, the Garmin Enduro has really grown on me. It's definitely one of my all-time favorite watches that I've tested. It's a great option for anyone that's doing triathlons, even better for someone that's doing ultra distance running, or anyone that's super active and isn't a huge fan of charging up their watch. Lastly, don't forget to get out there, swim, bike, run, rinse, and then repeat it all over again, and we will see you guys on the next one.